This guy right here. All of you guys know who that is. Windham Rotunda.
Charles?
No, it's not. No. Windham Rotunda, also known as Bray Wyatt, unfortunately passed away Thursday evening. I believe, according to what has been approved to be told, it was due to cardiac arrest. As we all know, Bray Wyatt had been injured, or not injured, but he had a medical condition. Apparently, he got COVID. COVID exacerbated a pre-existing heart condition that he had, but he was on the up and up. He was on his way back to returning to the ring. According to a lot of wrestlers, it's only going to be a matter of weeks. He was in contact with a whole bunch of people, and then Thursday, after the wrestling world was mourning the loss of Terry Funk, we got hit with a double whammy of a very shocking and unexpected death of Windham Rotunda, who was 36 years old at the time of his passing, a father of four, and a husband to former WWE ring announcer JoJo Offerman as well. It really took a hit on the entire pro wrestling world. We saw condolences coming out from WWE, obviously, AEW, NWA, Impact Wrestling. There were homages to him all over the place. House of Black, during their entrance at All In, brought out a lantern and left it on the entranceway. A lot of Firefly comments from other companies as well. So it was really interesting to see all of the love being poured out, particularly for Bray, but also very sad for something that was so unexpected. And it really, you can tell on a lot of the performance faces, no matter the company, that it hit everybody like a sack of bricks. So, Will Tarashak.
Yeah, man, it's a damn shame. I was driving down to Rehoboth Beach, Delaware this past weekend, and I got a text from Jonathan, a friend of the show, Jonathan. He's like, "Bro, Bray Wyatt died." He's like, "Bray Wyatt passed away." I'm getting gas. I'm like, "What happened?" He goes, "He died." I'm like, "No shit, but what happens?"
Yeah.
And I just it took me a second to process of just like, damn. My first thought was honestly that he killed himself, and I guess it's better that it wasn't that. It's equally as tragic. Yeah. And it's sad, I think back last time we were talking about Bray Wyatt on the podcast, the rumors were that he wasn't coming back due to mental issues.
That was a rumor, yes.
That was a rumor, and it wasn't confirmed, right? Nothing was ever confirmed. Correct. I remember saying that, if you had these mental issues, you shouldn't be in the company. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad it wasn't mental issues and it was actually physical. As sad as it still is, but you think about comments like that, and you think about how you talk about someone when they're alive, and then you talk about how they're going to talk about them now that they're gone. And I'm still going to be there saying he was an icon of the business. Made his impact, poorly booked, but anything that happened to Bray Wyatt wasn't his fault. He was one of the craziest minds in all of wrestling, one of the most creative people. Had his demons, and he used it towards art form.
Yeah,
That even that one WrestleMania moment I had with him was when he helped Matt Hardy win the Battle Royal, and those fireflies come out for 1 second.
That was cool.
Seeing a huge stadium, New Orleans, all those fireflies is something I'll never forget.
Yeah, no, it was pretty crazy. I will be honest with you, when I first heard the news as well, and not much was being said about how he died in the immediacy of the situation, which is obviously expected. I did start to look a little bit and try to. I looked a little, my therapist's mind got ringing because I know some people who are highly artistic, even like Pablo Picasso at a level. There is, number one, sometimes there is a strain of some sort of mental illness. I mean, 1 in 5 people have it in general, but some people can use their mental illness or the things that are troubling them and turn it into artwork. And for me, sometimes when I looked at Bray's stuff, I feel, especially during his latter return, I feel like that was him channeling some of the things that was bothering him into his work. And I think he did it very, very well. But I did speculate, was this something about it just became too much for him?
He never got over the death of Brody either.
No.
That was very clear and very apparent.
Yeah. So, but I mean, this was unfortunately something that happened to him physically, and at such a young age of 36, he had a lot going for him, and there was a lot of
He had
promise.
15, 20 years left. 15, 20 years left when he was going to come
Yeah,
back.
he had a lot of promise. But kayfabe, some of your thoughts on Mr. Bray Wyatt, aka Windham Rotunda?
It's so fucking sad. Like, probably one of my favorite wrestlers of the modern generation. Like, even like when I was a part of NYWC, like the Wyatt family was like one of the influences on the Hounds of Hatred. So like it just hit very, very hard.
Mm-hmm.
But also I feel that Bray Wyatt's just gonna be one of the biggest what ifs in all of modern wrestling history. Like the next 20 years of wrestling just changed because Bray Wyatt's not here.
Yeah.
There's so much he could have done, so much he didn't get to do. And it's just really fucking sad. COVID sucks. It's just very, very, it's shitty.
It is. And I think, Kay, I believe...
I feel bad for his family.
4 kids.
4 kids.
They're all super young, too. They're all like under 4 years old or 5 years old, 6 maybe max.
Relatively young, yeah.
Like, Ricky and I were at the debut of The Fiend.
Yeah, that's something I'll never forget. That reaction to The Fiend. It was literally like...
It was wild.
And it was the way that they cut it on TV.
Which one was that?
It was at a Raw at the Coliseum.
It was the first ever debut of The Fiend. Not his entrance. It was a surprise debut of The Fiend, and it was against Finn. So he shows up, and he shows up in the mask, and all you hear the crowd in total Long Island fashion just scream "Holy shit!" until they go to commercial.
Yeah.
Like,
was that in the UBS, the first one, the UBS Arena?
Nassau Coliseum?
No.
Oh, it's in the Coliseum.
Nassau Coliseum, yeah. It was right around. I think this was around. It was around Beatbox Brock. Right after Brock won Money in the Bank.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Boombox Brock.
Boombox Brock, yeah.
June or July 19?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was July.
July, yeah.
July 19.
It was right after Boombox Brock debuted.
Mm-hmm.
So
amazing.
Yeah, no, that was a wild time. Sir Charles, some of your thoughts on Mr. Windham Rotunda?
Man, it's sad when you hear about it, especially when somebody's so close in age to myself. I am kind of reminded in like looking at his career, something that Paul Heyman was recorded as saying of Raven overall, and the piece that's relevant is that Bray Wyatt's character was not fully understood by the people booking him.
Correct.
Yes.
And he never reached the even like near the heights or the potential that he had, and because he was also robbed of time. So it's like, you know, what Kay said, it's going to be one of the greatest what ifs. Like,
yeah,
it's wild.
He was released. Remember, he was part of
yes.
that 2020 release.
He was released.
When he got released, we were like, what the fuck is going on? What just happened?
I remember that,
Must have been part of the budget cuts, but they weren't using him. He didn't want to work because he didn't like the booking. And, you know, that's when he had mental problems as well. I think that's probably when Brody died. And there's so many things were going on at once. We're like, fuck, dude, Bray Wyatt got released. We were talking about how much of a tragedy it was back then. Just to come back and have his last match be a Mountain Dew match.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. But that was when he got sick.
And he got sick.
There's nothing you can do, yeah. Because, I mean...
But wasn't his last moment on TV him and Taker?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Yes.
Which is kind of nuts to think. And I know what around WrestleMania time we were talking about how bad we felt for Bobby that it was supposed to be Bobby versus Bray. As crappy as we thought that booking was gonna be.
And the rumor was because it was Brock didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But no, the reality was he got sick.
Yeah. He got sick, and you know that's a shame. I mean, Bobby did the best he could, you know, with it all and everything. But to your point, Will, when Bray got fired, we were just like, "What, WTF?" But then to have, I think, in my opinion, the greatest return build-up and moments of all time.
It's up there. Yeah, for sure.
No one can. The White Rabbit, the clues, the QR codes.
We all knew, but we had no idea.
Yeah.
And then we all figured it out, but we still had no idea. And then we saw it, we were still shocked.
Yeah.
But we knew.
Yeah, the clues, the QR codes, the GPS locations on maps, the puppets showing up randomly backstage, like it was brilliantly done. And then obviously he got unfortunately he got sick, and it's a shame. And even with his short time, he was like a two-time WWE champion, one-time Universal champion. He debuted the blue belt.
Yeah, I didn't realize
He
that.
did.
He debuted the blue
Because
belt.
he won it at what, SummerSlam?
Something like before SummerSlam, I think.
Literally debuted, because no, he won it from
debuted at
Braun.
SummerSlam, and then Roman won it at Payback. You're right.
Yeah, they literally a week later. So he won it at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Debuted the blue one that Friday.
Yeah.
Just to lose it the next night to Roman.
The rumor is that Roman has gave the belt to his family, and officially will never be seen on TV again. Which, if so, class act by Roman.
Which, thank God, that belt was fucking gross. But yeah,
it's better than the red belt. That blue belt was beautiful. I don't care what anybody says.
Absolutely.
The blue belt was better than the red one. But yeah, having blue and red belts, I think, is just silly in general.
Blue and gold will always go good together.
Blue and gold does go together. Yeah. But yeah, class act. I think
beautiful.
Roman wasn't scheduled to be there on the show anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think the flights, he couldn't make it.
Yeah, that was the same thing with Bliss. Bliss couldn't make it either.
Correct, and she's also pregnant.
She's pregnant,
right?
yes.
Yes.
Also, I love that they had Eric Rowan there. Which fuck, dude, Eric Rowan.
That's
two of his best friends.
In 4 years,
buddies, I think. The people who built his career.
Yeah.
That's so heartbreaking.
Within 3 years.
Gone.
Mm-hmm.
Gone.
Yeah.
Braun was there on stage.
They flew Braun in
because the tributes are very well done.
The tribute was
Braun and a bunch of Braun, Shotzi, Karrion Kross, and a bunch of other people got the Bray Moth tattoo.
Got that too. Seth Rollins has
that's really cool.
Seth Rollins has put the Fiend's face side plate on his championship belt.
Awesome.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like little thing. I even like, I know like AEW. He was never in AEW. AEW has nothing to do with the company, but I like how AEW let the wrestlers do that as well. Like at the FTR had a band for Brody, Briscoe, and Bray. Like you said, Alistair, same thing.
House of Black brought out the lantern. Yeah.
They said Bray Wyatt by name.
They did.
At all
they did.
Well.
They mentioned Bray multiple times.
Which I think is also excellent, because it works that the AEW does it, because everyone in that building and everyone watching knows who Bray Wyatt is.
And even there were people who used to work with him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, God forbid that happens, like a Hangman Page or something, or like a Sammy Guevara.
Yeah.
That won't come up in WWE.
WWE wouldn't do it to the extent that that AEW did, because our audience might not
know who Hangman Page is. Yeah.
Who Hangman Page is, but WWE would let the wrestlers do like an armband. Michael Cole would probably mention it on commentary.
Absolutely.
But it wouldn't be anything drastic. So I think it's total class from AEW letting their wrestlers and mentioning it on commentary, because it's an homage to the greater art of wrestling.
Yeah, and I mean, everybody said it was ahead of his time. I mean, the way people found out too.
For sure.
There is video footage. Booker T was doing his like ESPN radio live.
Oh, I saw that.
He found out he died live.
Yeah, that was
and he was like, "Go to commercial." Yeah. He's like, "Oh, I gotta make some calls."
Yeah,
it's like seriously. The stories that came out were pretty fascinating. There's a story by Zelina Vega that she talks about her trying to get into the company, and so sometimes what they do, they had Zelina do a tryout match before like a Raw or something, with just like corporate, like sitting in the stands and in front of the boys, so whoever was just hanging around the arena. And apparently during Zelina's match, Bray Wyatt started like a Thea chant, because that's her real name, Thea Trinidad. He started a Thea chant, and after the match, he personally walked up to whoever the suits were and was like, "You need to sign her. She needs to be with us." There are things.
That's very sweet.
There was another one where Becky Lynch said that leading up to her first ever tables match, she had no idea, and she revealed this after her match on Monday. She had no idea how to set up a table. And Bray during like before live events and leading up to the match would just, on his time, teach her how to properly set up the table, make sure that like she was safe. There are tons of stories about all the stuff that he always did for everybody else. Like, it just seems like he was just a kind soul, Had his issues, obviously, but he was always willing to help everybody out.
Do you think he's going in the Hall of Fame?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What's his name inducts him, and Bo Dallas accepts it.
Rowan, maybe Bo.
Rowan inducts him.
His dad might. IRS is still there.
Bo Dallas and IRS
Yeah.
probably accepts it for him. Yeah.
Yeah, because
In that case, Ricky, we might need to go to the Hall of Fame.
no.
Do you think it'll be next year?
Oh yeah, they won't waste time with this.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, they'll
not?
posthumously put him in. He was building a credential anyways, and like even if you take out all of his in-ring stuff, his creativity to the world of wrestling, he changed how wrestling was shot a lot of the time. Him and Matt Hardy are kind of in that same vein of like how to shoot wrestling moments with the Hardy compound stuff and Bray's Firefly Funhouse and the Swamp stuff. Like that was all Bray and Matt. And when they came together for a moment in time, that was actually really fun.
Yeah, Fretz, I don't think you get the Warrior Award because he didn't like save a life.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
I feel like he would get
like Eric LeGrand is the Warrior Award because of all his philanthropic stuff he does. Which actually, he's actually in studio tomorrow, so I get to meet him again.
nice, awesome.
What if they make
shameless plug on Eric LeGrand.
or if they make like a Firefly award or belt or scholarship or something?
Well, I do know all the proceeds of his merchandise, which is apparently sold out on the shop, is going to go to
100% goes to the family.
goes to the family.
Good.
And class act.
Yeah.
Class act.
Or JoJo.
Yeah,
Vince didn't like him in life, but he'll like him in death.
yeah. I think Vince enjoyed him. I don't think Vince understood him.
He didn't get it.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, dude. Like, Bray Wyatt were always only going to work creatively if he had full creative control. But we're going to talk about CM Punk a little bit, which is the exact reason why you can't give a wrestler creative control.
Yeah.
And Vince is like, listen, I'm running a PG global conglomerate business. We can't do some stuff we do. We got to make it a little more marketable and profitable. So it's like, I understand why Bray Wyatt didn't work. It's just a damn shame because it would have totally worked if Bray was able to do what he wanted
And he
to
got
do.
away with a lot of stuff too, and all the stuff he got away with was really
This
good.
is good shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Right.
That's very true. But to leave it off on this, I was reminded, and I saw this on our socials and stuff because it has impacted a lot of people. Bray Wyatt's passing, especially because I also saw people that he was in direct contact with some fans, like cheering them up whenever they would have a bad day or having a bad mental health day. He would personally message them on social media apps and be like, you know, you can get through this, blah, blah, like a very ultra positive person. But is also kind of reminded of this one thing he said, and this is around during the pandemic, and he posted it on his Instagram, and you guys might remember this, but I'll say this and I'll leave it here when we'll move on. Wrestling is not a love story. It's a fairy tale for masochists, a comedy for people who criticize punchlines, a fantasy most can understand, a spectacle no one can deny. Lines are blurred, heroes are villains, budgets are cut, and business is business. But it can also be a land where dead men walk, where honor makes you elite, where demons run for office, and rock bottom is a reason to rejoice. That's probably my favorite line. Woo, he says. It's an escape, a reason to point the blame at anyone but yourself for 2 to 3 hours, an excuse to be a kid again, and nothing matters except the moment we are in. Wrestling is not a love story, it's much more. It's hope. And in a world surrounded in hate, greed, and violence, a world where closure may never come, we all know a place that has hot and cold hope on tap, for better or worse. Rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. Unfortunately passing away
Yeah, it's great writing.
at the age of 36.